Hello my gamer compatriots, it is Onion Creature today with a video in the great outdoors for no particular reason other than I goddamn felt like it. Well, everybody, here we are in a post-Nintendo Switch 2 world. Maybe you have one yourself. Maybe you are not getting one because it is really goddamn expensive. Many options are now available to you. I have overall positive thoughts on the system, but one feature has really stood out to me, and that is the introduction of mouse mode. One of the things that leaked about the system is that it would be capable of using the Joy-Con controllers as mice. I have now gotten to put this feature to the test in a variety of situations. I have unfortunately dabbled in Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and probably the best thing about it is those mouse mini games. They're actually rather nice. Apart from that, I have also looked at Fortnite. Dabbled a bit in a round of Fortnite with the mouse controls, and man, that actually worked very well. I don't really care to play Fortnite in really any circumstance. Not my jam, but by golly, they have mouse controls, and it works very well. And one of the other games I tested is Game Builder Garage, which did previously have support for USB mice, but now has support for the built-in Switch 2 mouse. And you can actually use multiple mice at the same time if you so please. This has been great. This is a game featuring menus where you are clicking and dragging, and man, it works very well in this game. Really impressed by that. Also, Game Builder Garage, kind of a banger game. Even if you're just doing the interactive lessons that are included, they're really fun and have a lot of personality to them. I'm doing some of the post-game challenges in my spare time, and they're really great. And so the mouse itself, fairly comfortable to use one hand as the mouse and then have your other Joy-Con to use the control stick, what have you. Buttons are pretty easily accessible. It's very flexible in terms of the surface you put it on. I've tested it on a couch, on my pant legs, tested it on my desk. It's performed admirably in all of those settings. Really no major issues, and the Joy-Con strap that is included actually does help a bit with making it glide over a surface slightly easier, but even without it, you can get quite a lot of articulation. This has got me thinking about many a game that could take advantage of this in the future. I think it's the thing that excites me most about the Switch 2 in terms of new gameplay opportunities. And that brings us to the game I want to highlight today, a game I've highlighted in the past. Another video promoting this idea sure as hell couldn't hurt, and that's Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. This is one of the last Wii U exclusives that has not made the jump to any other system, really just has been moored on that console, which sold 13 million, so obviously diminished any widespread reach that game could have had. I had my Kirby ranking relatively recently, placed quite high on that, so this is a game I quite love, and I think it deserves another shot on a system that is not a total flop, which the Switch 2 so far is not. Specifically, the feature that really excites me in relation to Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is mouse mode. I have tested out drawing, works really well, and you know what? I think this is a workable solution to playing Kirby and the Rainbow Curse exclusively on the TV with just a controller and not having a tablet in your lap like you have to on Wii U. I can sort of picture it in my mind's eye of using the Joy-Con 2 controller to draw circles for Kirby to traverse across, and I like this mental image quite a lot. Of course, I think you can still include touchscreen features for when the system is in handheld mode. I think that would work just fine as well. In regards to resolution, the Wii U gamepad was pretty bad. It's 480p, not very bright screen. Yeah, it looks pretty pixelated. So having the gameplay experience of Kirby and the Rainbow Curse almost exclusively on that Wii U gamepad, maybe glancing up once or twice to look at the beautiful clay-inspired environments. That was basically what you had to do on Wii U. But with the Switch 2 version, you'd be having this nice big 1080p screen. Hey, 120 frames per second? Not technically out of the question. That could happen. But yeah, you know, 60 FPS certainly at a 1080p resolution I think would look excellent on the Switch 2 screen. And then in docked mode, you know, maybe you could bump that up to 1440p. 4K seems to be a reach for most games at this point. Very few games are achieving 4K even with DLSS upscaling. So I don't know if I would say 4K is a likelihood, but 1440p seems viable for a port of a Wii U game, sure. Perhaps I'm being slightly greedy as a Kirby fan. We are getting one new spin-off this year already, and then the Switch 2 version of Kirby and the Forgotten Land. But you know, 2026, you know, that so far has no Kirby titles announced for it, so could slot in there quite nicely as a, you know, I wouldn't say this is a huge system seller, but I think if there was a gap in the release schedule, maybe around springtime, it could slot in there really well and be a great showpiece for the mouse control feature. I know they tested pointer controls for the Wii U version, but ended up not going with that because it was too imprecise. I think potentially with the mouse, I think you do get a lot more precision. So having that be the main input mode for TV mode on Switch 2, that seems viable to me. I really think that could work. I don't like seeing this phenomenal Kirby game stuck on a fairly obscure console. That's always a shame. So having it more widely accessible would be great. I don't got too much more to say other than that would be cool. So here I am lounging around telling HAL Laboratory and Nintendo to get to work on that. We would all enjoy it, I can assure you. We would have our wallets at the ready to make a purchase come release day. So get on that, you know? It's what we're all thinking about, frankly, with this new Nintendo system freshly released, is just how many Kirby games can we fit on this thing? And with this new mouse control feature, it seems like one of them just became a lot more likely. This is a weird atmosphere for the video. I'm getting a strange sort of vibe here. Slightly ominous vibe. It's not the intention, but I feel as though that's what's coming across. Oh dearie me. I think there's also a couple of other Kirby games that would really benefit from this mouse mode feature. But you know, the DS games, the touch spin-offs on DS would also be a great fit if Nintendo were to ever do Nintendo Switch Online DS as part of their subscription model. You have both screens in TV mode, and then you can use the mouse as a touchscreen analog, you know, to click and drag as if you were using a touch screen. That would work pretty well for Kirby Mass Attack and of course the original Kirby Canvas Curse. So I think DS games are reasonably likely to come at some point in the Switch's lifespan. Probably not for a bit since we just got GameCube added, but I think DS is probably the next most likely candidate for a system they would add. So maybe we get that sometime around 2027 when we've gone through some of the GameCube heavy hitters. That's perhaps a bit optimistic, which is kind of crazy to say, but it is what it is. I'll mention this too. This is a really unfocused video here, but I'll mention this as well. Kirby Planet Robot was heavily rumored earlier in the year to be getting a release on the original Switch, a remaster of sorts, and that did not materialize in any way whatsoever. But there was still a lot of noise around that, and I thought at the time that that was quite likely, but apparently not. With that said, though, I think that could be a thing that happens. I could see that being a Switch 1 game that, you know, potentially has a Switch 2 upgrade or just runs better on Switch 2. Not entirely sure how they would do that for a remaster of a 3DS game. Nintendo does actually support their previous console for quite a long time. At least they did in recent years with the 3DS. We already have at least two relatively big games next year that are going to be Switch 1 releases, and then maybe we'll have Switch 2 editions or something like that. with Rhythm Heaven, Fever, and Tomodachi Life. What is it? Tomodachi Life Live in the Dream? So those are actually, specifically Tomodachi Life that's a pretty big release. I could see that selling somewhere around 10 million easily. So there is, stuff releasing on Switch 1. So Kirby Planet Robobot Remastered, I wouldn't rule it out. I think that's, not unreasonable, and maybe there were some veracity to the claims that it was coming. It just wasn't being announced for quite that time. I don't think it would come out this year if there was a Kirby Planet Robobot re-release. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. We did just get one of the other major Wii U holdouts this year, Xenoblade Chronicles X, got a definitive edition. They clearly haven't ruled out, putting these, slightly more obscure Wii U games on their system. I think the mine is not quite dry. There's still a bit of juice to squeeze out of the Wii U catalog. Tiny little bit, a few more drops. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse being one of those drops. So let's hope Nintendo squeezes it out and drops it on our Nintendo Switch 2 systems. I'm sure we would all love that. Thank you for joining me on our outdoor adventure. A nice change of pace from the indoor locale. I sure as hell enjoyed it. Nice and peaceful out here. Relatively temperate weather for the season around these parts. So I'm enjoying that. I will catch you later, friend. Let's see if I can nail this shot. Oh.